You know, the great thing about being a US 9.5, I can actually wear women's shoes. I just admitted that. That's right. What's good everyone on YouTube? It's me again, back with another video, and going back to some more like mainstream brands, we're gonna go talk about a Nike shoe. But we're not just gonna talk about any regular Nike shoe. Today we're gonna be looking at I guess you would just call it a GR release, because there was no collaboration behind it. It's an old silhouette that they reintroduced, I think now it's been a year or 2 years since they reintroduced it. And the first time they reintroduced it was actually with the Stussy collab, and if you guys know what shoe I'm talking about, we're talking about the Zoom Spiridon Cage 2. And the Stussy collab was the first time they brought it back. That fossil pair is going for too much money. I honestly don't really care for those shoes. But this colorway honestly was really sick, and it was a women's only colorway, but luckily as a US 9.5, I'm small enough to fit these. And it took some searching to find my size, but we got it and we have it here on the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the Air Zoom Spiridon Cage 2 in the UNC colorway. So with the intro out of the way, let's get into the box. So, like I said, it's a pretty standard release, so we just get the standard Nike sportswear red box with the Nike on the top. We lift open the box, we've just got standard wrapping paper, and the shoes and stuff with standard packing paper. No extra laces, no nothing, it's just the shoe itself. And if we move to the label, it reads Air Zoom Spiridon Cage 2. So, the retail price on these. The retail price, I think in Australia for like most Zoom Spiridon cages are like 200 bucks. I had to end up buying these from a European store, and because the euro is quite strong as well as shipping, it ended up being like close to like 250 or 260 Australian dollars. Find the exact figure and put the conversion here. And yeah, for 260 it's quite expensive, but considering that it's a women's shoe and my size isn't particularly easy to find, I thought it was a fair price to pay, and it had been a while since I've been looking for this shoe, so when I saw the opportunity I couldn't pass it. And with the box out of the way, let's get into the shoes. And here we are, the Nike Air Zoom Spiridon Cage 2 in the UNC colorway. So honestly, you know, the best thing about this shoe, honestly, are the accent colors. And I'm an absolute sucker for the UNC colorway. And on this shoe, they've used it very sparingly, but I think it just sets off the shoe very nicely. So starting with the upper, we've got a very porous mesh, actually. You can see through quite easily, and when you wear like darker socks or lighter socks, it will change the way the shoe looks a little bit. And then overlaid, it's a lot of, I think it's just plastic, honestly. It's no leather or anything like that. So that was, I guess, like maybe one thing I was slightly disappointed with, like the amount of just plastic overlays, but that's okay. But aside from like the mesh and the plastic, the best thing about this is the UNC colorway used on the swoosh, the pull tab, as well as this little tab at the back. And this tab on the back is actually 3M reflective, so when you hit the shoe with flash, you'll get a nice pop. And moving down to, honestly, the midsole. The midsole is probably the most interesting thing about the Zoom Spiridon Cage 2, where you've actually got like a separate sort of like two-piece build. So the front is actually a pretty standard sort of like foam. They call it Firelight. I don't know if it's supposed to be extra light, but the front foam actually is quite light. But at the back, we've got this interesting cage, and this cage is done in the UNC blue, which I absolutely love. And housed inside this cage is actually a really large Zoom airbag unit. And if you look closely, you can see like all the fibers and the pillars inside the airbag. And this airbag is really felt. It's quite interesting, it's quite a nice feel. And then you've got the Zoom Air branding on the back. And then moving down to the outsole, you've got this pretty interesting outsole setup. So the front is like just the raw foam with a little bit of rubber reinforcement. And it's got this interesting kind of like dotted pattern underneath. Then you got the Nike swoosh on the toe. And then on the heel, we've got a pretty thick rubber piece, probably because to protect the Zoom unit with Zoom Air branding, as well as a plastic shank plate. So that pretty much covers the main features of this particular shoe. In terms of sizing, as I mentioned, this is a women's shoe, and for Nike, you need to go like a size and a half up if you're a men's size. So I bought these in a women's US 11, which translates to a men's 9.5. And I would say that like they fit me really well actually. So they're the slightest bit narrow, but the length was actually perfect. So I would recommend going true to size in this shoe. So I'm typically a US 9.5 in most of my sneakers. I bought these in a women's US 11 and they fit me great. Now, in terms of comfort, despite the fact that this is a really old silhouette, the comfort of this shoe is actually still pretty competent and pretty strong to this day. You can feel the air unit really nicely in the back. It's bottom loaded, so you don't actually get the sinking feeling of being right on top of the air unit, but it's still quite springy. And then the foam itself is actually, it's not very soft, but it's very light. And actually the biggest benefit of this shoe is actually lightweight all around. The heaviest thing about the shoe actually is the air unit. Everything else is quite light about this shoe. And then the mesh itself is super breathable and super flexible. So I would say this is an extremely comfortable old school silhouette, honestly. Now I get into the part of the video where I talk about my opinions on this shoe. And honestly, I'm a sucker for UNC blue on almost any shoe. And when I first saw this shoe, I really was like gunning for this pair. I think Nike Australia ended up having a release, but I completely missed it. So I just couldn't seem to find a US 11 actually, because women's shoes, usually the bigger sizes, they don't make as much of. So when I finally found that pair on a European website, I absolutely jumped for it. And I just think it's a really nice retro runner silhouette. It's quite unique, so it's very different from your typical like Air Maxes or Air Force Ones. So it's definitely something that you won't be seeing as often. And it's a great summer shoe as well, especially now in Australia at the moment. We've had a couple of days where it's hit over like 40 degrees, so this would be a shoe that I'm definitely going to be considering breaking out pretty soon. They're still dead stock at the moment, but this is a shoe that I'm really excited to wear, and I'm glad I found and added to the collection. So with that, we've come to the end of another video. So I'd love to hear what you guys think of the Nike Air Zoom Spiridon Cage 2 in the UNC colorway. And yeah, if you have a favorite colorway of the Zoom Spiridon Cage 2, let me know what it is. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section down below. And if you're into more dance, vlogs, shoes, that sort of thing, consider subscribing to the channel. Time for the on feet, and I'll catch you guys in another video.